Will, welcome to the program.
All right.
What got you into theater?
Actually, it goes back to when I started. I did a little bit in high school when I was in high school. And then somewhere along the line when I was in college, I found out we had a neighborhood acting group.
Okay.
Which the Rosedale Park Players in Detroit, Michigan.
Right.
And I was in about 5 or 6 plays with them from 1967 through 69. And at that point in time, I went to go to law school, and I didn't think about community theater again until I moved here in 2007.
Wow.
And I said, you know what I miss? I said, I miss community theater.
Oh my goodness. So what did you do in that time in real life? Yeah.
In real life, I went to law school.
Sure.
I lived in Florida. I was a city attorney. I was a court clerk. I was a bailiff. I was a magistrate.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, they told me, we think you might want to take early retirement. I said, thank you very much, and I'm out of here.
Well, it said, being a lawyer, I mean, you must see all kinds of personalities. You get to observe. Do you get to use any of those observations when you act?
No, but, well, I could say maybe that's true, but to tell you the truth, I use some of the universal truths when I act, and one of those is the fact is reality is only as real as the perception of the person who has it.
Okay.
Nobody ever really tells you the exact truth.
Right.
They can only tell you, even if they're doing the best they can, they're only telling you their perception of the truth.
Right.
And that goes through with a lot of different things. And that to me was one of the great things that I learned from being an attorney. Is the very best that anybody can do is tell you what they believe they saw or what they believe the situation is.
Right.
But that doesn't have anything to do with community theater.
Actually, that has its own.
I had a great time in community theater. I was Freddie Einsford Hill when I was a lot thinner and had a lot more hair on my head.
Right.
And
So where was that? Where did you do that?
That was My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
And I started dating the girl who was the understudy for Eliza, and we would go around and go out and party all night, and we sang songs from the show. Her father was Alfie Doolittle,
right?
And it was just an unbelievably fun time back in 1969.
Wow. So where was this? Where did you do this?
That was in Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay, no, that's a great play, absolutely. And musical, and the part is fun.
In the amateur group we were with, the community theater group we had, everybody had been waiting to do My Fair Lady. Because yes. Really? They'd done all these other plays, and The King and I, and all these other different plays. They had done
My Fair Lady. So what's that?
When they finally did My Fair Lady, anybody who had ever had a lead in a play came out.
Wow.
And they wanted to be in that play.
Oh my goodness.
Even the butlers and the maids were people who had been former leads.
Wow.
And it was probably the best play our group had ever done. I still have it on reel-to-reel tape as far as the soundtrack is concerned.
Hey, believe it or not, I've edited reel-to-reel. I had to splice it together, in the 60s. And, first Dad wouldn't let me test the reel-to-reel. Then, okay, it's okay. You know what? You need to learn how to splice tape. If you can break it, you can fix it.
Splice tape. But just put the little
scotch tape
on the thing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, I remember. It's amazing. Yeah, we can't. But My Fair Lady. What is it? It's so special about My Fair Lady. Other than they hadn't done it, but what do you think is special about it?
It's just a wonderful show. Just all the different roles are terrific. The fellow that played the lead in our My Fair Lady, when he did, I've grown accustomed to her face. Right. Everybody in the cast would stop, and we actually would get tears in our eyes. Because it was that good of a song.
Wow.
It was wonderful. And he couldn't sing a lick, but he sure could
But he could pull it off.
Oh, he could pull that song off.
Do you prefer musicals or straight plays?
I love musicals, but I love anything that's lighthearted and entertaining.
Right.
You won't see me trying out for shows where it's messages. I want to be happy and amused. I'm sorry.
You know what? That's pretty typical of American theater in general. Is that we're into entertainment, and the Europeans don't get it. It's like, how come you guys? They like message, issues.
Every once in a while, I'll see a play where you go like, wow, that was really good acting, but. I don't know. You remember the movie Easy Rider?
Yeah.
Very depressing ending.
Yeah.
And I don't care how great the movie was.
Right,
if you walk out of the theater going, "Oh, I wish they hadn't shot him in the head," that's not my idea of a movie I really, really want to take a date to.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, when we go to see Broadway shows, it's a musical. Not always, but for the most part. And uplifting, nice, because that's what we want. Entertainment. If I want serious, I can go look at my 401k. I don't need,
401k or watch the afternoon news.
Yeah, or the news. Yeah, it's just depressing. We don't need that. I think we need more positive influences in our society. So, like you said, you like musicals.
I enjoy musicals.
But I like generally,
I was just in a couple of plays that weren't musicals, but I thought they were terribly entertaining and wonderful.
Let's talk about the first show you ever did at the Crighton. What was the first show?
The first show I ever did at the Crighton, I worked curtains for Miracle on 34th Street about 5 years ago.
Really?
Yes, that was when I first came to town, and I missed the auditions.
Right.
And I showed up, and I believe it was
probably Tom Lockhart. Becky Teague would have been director. Tom Lockhart would have been Chris Kringle. Jeff Elkins would have been the lawyer.
Exactly. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Becky was the director, and she said, "Oh, well, you're too late for the auditions, but you can work curtains now." I sit there and I don't know anything about curtains. I go like, well, like clothesline. You kind of like do the thing. I went there and they ripped your hands apart. My God, these things weren't light. Big, thick, heavy ropes, and you're sitting there going, oh. Yeah. And she goes, "Oh, I forgot to tell you were supposed to bring gloves."
That's wild, yeah, and it's amazing. I like the philosophy of the Miracle on 34th Street. It's very much that if you don't have it, but you can push someone else, their activities, whatever. It's got a wonderful story, wonderful message.
I love Miracle 34th Street. Is my very favorite movie of all time.
Really?
Yes.
For Christmas shows or just any movie?
Whenever I am depressed, and my friends will verify this, that even if it's in July, I will get out Miracle on 34th Street at the Edmund Gwynn version, and it's just a wonderful, uplifting, fun movie where you sit there and go like, yes, maybe if you believe hard enough, it will come true.
Wow. And that's something. So what was the next show after Miracle?
Over at the Owen it was Annie Get Your Gun, I believe.
Okay.
Then we do Annie Get Your Gun, and there was The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and several of those over there. I had a great time doing. I finally got the bug, and I was back in the saddle again, and I really wanted to do a little bit more.
Right. So how did you get into Harvey, or you'd be part of the cast?
Harvey's one of my very favorite movies
too. The Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart version.
Oh my goodness, yes.
The roles are fun, and I tried out for Dr. Chumley, and I got the role of Dr. Chumley, and he has one of the great scenes where he talks about the girl from Akron.
Oh, yes.
And I absolutely loved that. And I loved Elwood's philosophy, and I was so happy to be a part of that cast. That was a wonderful cast.
It was a wonderful cast, yes.
And just a great show. I loved it.
Yeah, I think that was our first show that Sam Martinez had directed.
And as a matter of fact, after Sam did that one, I enjoyed working with Sam so much that when I heard he was going to be doing the Carol Burnett show, I definitely wanted to try out for the Carol Burnett show. Not only was I enchanted by the Carol Burnett show in general, but it was nice to be able to have an opportunity to work with Sam again. And once again, it was just a tremendous experience with a great cast and a whole lot of fun. Yeah, and it's one where I really just love running into people who saw the show and go like, "Oh, I remember that." Yeah.
Well, Sam has a really good way with bringing with actors to bring up their performance level. He's incredible that way, and I think part of it is he is also an incredible actor. And so he's able to relate, at different levels.
Sometimes I think that people are concerned about getting the scene done, and very kind of like our education today,
right.
where sometimes all people want is the teacher wants the entire class to pass,
right.
but they aren't necessarily concerned about getting the best out of the best of
right.
the students that they have. Sam's not going to let anybody skate, even if they are really good, and even if they know all their lines and whatever else. Jesse, you're not going to get through the scene unless you've given him what he wants.
Right.
And I respect him for that a great deal.
Yeah, he's incredible. Yes, he's now in Avenue Q. I think he's getting ready to do Frankenstein.
Right.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. Yeah. So you've done the Carol Burnett show. What's next for you?
I don't know. There's a show coming up this Christmas season, around Thanksgiving, that they're going to be doing, called My Three Angels.
Yes.
Which, believe it or not, I was in the cast of My Three Angels in 1968. And I loved that show, and I think I would like to have a part in it.
Oh, it's a wonderful comedy, and most people, it is a Christmas show. It has a nice message.
The one thing that maybe hurts its commerciality as far as community theater is concerned is there aren't a lot of ladies roles in it.
No, there aren't, and usually
but there are at least 5 good men's roles.
Yeah. Oh no, you need good guys, especially the convicts to anchor that. But everyone needs
the old community theater that I belonged to in Rosedale Park in Detroit. They, for example, I always tried to get them to do Damn Yankees.
Right. And
they wouldn't do Damn Yankees because they had, there weren't enough good women's roles in Damn Yankees. And so
it's a wonderful play.
It's a wonderful play, but you need a plethora of gentlemen to do all the roles in that show. And if you don't have them, and very often community theater seems to be weighted 2-to-1 by women to men.
What shows do you like to see when you go to, say, Tuts or New York or something like that? What shows do you prefer to see?
Where?
Anywhere. Anywhere.
I want something that's going to be amusing and interesting, and very rarely do I go to shows or even movies, for that matter.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
I guess I'm waiting for them to come out on videotape or DVD or
that's
Netflix.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting.
It's all action-filled,
absolutely,
computer-generated graphics and everything else like that. Very rarely do they have something which really requires any amount of thought or action on the part of the patron.
I remember going a big Star Trek fan. I went to see Star Trek when it came out in 2009. But looking at it from a technical point of view, I couldn't tell the difference between it and Transformers. It was the same kind of special effects, same kind of, it was the same kind of director, same style. And it's like, yes, I enjoyed it, but if I wanted to see Transformers, I would have seen Transformers, which I did. But
they all kind of blend together.
Absolutely.
What was it I saw recently, which I felt was like just in the same genre? Battleship.
Yeah. Right.
I walked out and I go like, I didn't see anything. There wasn't anything to that show other than a bunch of special effects. And when it was all over with, I could have just stayed home and watched reruns of Transformers. Right. And I would have gotten the same thing. I mean, it is nice to see a show that has a plot and a certain point to it.
Other than a bunch of explosions.
Recently, out of the clear blue sky, I watched West Side Story.
Right.
And go like, wow, that was really good, wasn't it? It really was good. I like a good mystery.
Okay.
I like stick it to the establishment kind of story. I like the kind of a story where somebody perseveres against overwhelming odds and turns out victorious.
You mean like a Frank Capra film? Jimmy Stewart?
Hey, I love Frank Capra films. I love everything he ever did.
Yes, excellent director, yes.
And even the ones he did which weren't necessarily uplifting, but they all were wonderful, wonderful stories.
Absolutely, yeah. He also found ways to find wonderful characters. And put them in his story. The everyday character. Yeah, just amazing. Mr. Everyman, every woman.
My very favorite film, as I said, was Miracle on 34th Street, but I like things like West Side Story.
Yep.
I like things like Walt Disney cartoons with Lady and the Tramp.
Yes.
I love the movie The Apartment.
Oh, that's an awesome
One
film.
of the greatest movies around. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that movie.
No,
Which also is another poor schnook who perseveres against the
yes,
establishment,
yes, of
who
course.
ends up getting the girl in the end type of movie.
Yeah. I was Fred McMurray. You know,
I used to say I identified a great deal with Jack Lemmon and some of the other
yes.
things that he would do.
Yeah, you know, I've been there, done that. I sympathize with him too. Yeah. How do you approach a character?
You just try and put yourself into the role, the story, and immerse yourself into the situation. I'm not a great actor. I don't pretend to be a great actor. That's why it helps when you really enjoy the story and you can put yourself into it.
Mm-hmm.
I could put myself into Miracle on 34th Street in any
No
one
problem.
of those roles
Right.
with no problem.
Right.
I can put myself into the role of Professor Chumley, Dr. Chumley, and Harvey.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Just a great story. I mean, the whole thing from beginning to end. It helps to be able to do something like that. Musicals are often fun because the songs put you into the mood,
Yes.
and you can enjoy that all the way through.
Right.
I always enjoy musicals.
Mm-hmm. As most people do, you know. Except not every musical is uplifting, great, but you know.
I was in choir in church. I was in glee club in high school.
Oh, really? Yeah, you had a glee club.
All those kinds of things, and I was even in the SBEBQSA for a while. The Society for the Preservation and Encouragement of Barbershop Quartet Singing in America.
Wow, so you did barbershop?
I did a little bit of barbershop.
Wow, that's amazing too. Yeah,
it's really good. The only problem I had was I wasn't quite a baritone and I wasn't quite a bass, and so I used to try and sit in the middle of the two sections because sometimes if it was a little too low for the baritones, I could sing in with the basses and whatever else. But it wasn't. I wasn't a true baritone or bass.
That's my problem. Yeah, I don't have the range of the baritone, like the upper range.
Right.
But I can hit a lot of low notes, but not
so you
really low. I'm really in the middle.
And,
yes. Yeah.
But they don't necessarily like it if you're not in the right section. But I enjoyed barbershop a great deal. I was in a chorus when I lived in Miami for a while.
Would you want to do barbershop again?
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's because I just really enjoy singing with a group, and that is something that I might like to do, depending upon it. You know, there aren't many places around here. I think there is one, maybe in the Woodlands.
You know, Statesman Chorus. I think they practice in spring, and you know they do. I mean, they're not the only barbershop, but they're the ones that we know about that have worked with them. But it seems like a lot of fun. They seem to do a lot of travel too.
It takes a lot of practice too, though.
Yes. Yes. Well, if you want to be good at anything, it does take practice. Yes.
Well, it's generally 2 times a week all year round. There is no thing like a play where, like, we finished this play, I can take some time off and maybe try for fall again. Right. Type of a thing. Right. With barbershopping, it's 2 days a week all year round plus performances. Wow. And that was a little trying the time that I tried it when I was in Miami, so I probably wouldn't take that time due to the fact that I spend so much time traveling right now.
Really?
Yeah, now that I'm retired, I spend some time. I go to Arizona, and I go to Michigan, and tomorrow I'm going to be leaving to go back to Florida.
Wow. Okay.
To visit some of my old friends. Since it's only 6 or 7 years ago since I left, I still have a number of people who I would like to go visit and say hello to. So
when you travel, why do you travel to these places?
I just happen to enjoy them.
Right. I mean, you've been there before.
I've been there before. My sister used to live in Arizona. So there are some people we know there. Originally, I'm from Michigan, so we go back to Michigan for about 2 weeks every year.
Absolutely, yeah.
To visit people. And most of the time I spent here in Texas now, but I did spend 30 years in Florida up until about 2007, and there are still a number of very good friends who I have there who I like to drop in and visit and remind them that I'm still alive. Right. You know, Will Radcliffe's 2012 farewell tour kind of thing.
Oh, come on. So, do you see shows when you travel to these places?
Depends on what the people there want to do.
Okay.
I will if the opportunity presents
Mhm.
itself. Yes,
Mhm.
I'm usually into doing whatever my friends wish to do.
Right.
It's not like I try and require them to please me.
Right.
So I'm a pretty good guest, I would think,
Mhm.
overall. I enjoy that.
So Florida. You said you came from Florida. What?
Came from Michigan.
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 But
Started.
you were in Florida for a long time, right?
Graduated in Redford High School. Went to Wayne State University
Mhm.
in Detroit, downtown Detroit, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
Our fraternity house was in the middle of one of the top crime area of the
Oh
city.
dear.
And but when I graduated from Wayne State, I decided I wanted to go to law school, and I went to the University of Florida.
Mhm.
And so that puts me there in about 1970. From 70 to 73, University of Florida, graduated, and then I moved to Miami.
Right.
And so I was in Miami from 73 to 2004, 2005.
Wow. Which was a good time, and Miami changed quite a bit. I mean, I knew Miami from the '60s and early '70s. What changed in Miami over those years that you saw?
Oh, it was the Latinization of
Mhm.
Miami, just unbelievably. It was kind of a cracker town versus the people from New York and New Jersey when I first got there in the
Right.
very early 70s. And I happened to stay in an area far west of Miami when I got there because that's where the rents were cheapest.
Mhm.
And before too long, the area that I lived in went from an area where everybody spoke. They were from Miami.
Right.
Yeah, they were from Miami. To the point where like nobody spoke English anymore.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the entire area changed a great deal. Yeah, I remember thinking that we were truly becoming an international city when I saw the sign. There was a sign for a dentist up along the shopping center, and the dentist's name was Juan Goldberg. And I go, this city, and I go like, this, Juan Goldberg was the dentist, and I go like, this city is changing.
Wow. It's something, I went to Miami as a kid, and I always just remember we'd go for fireworks and sit out, get a hotel by the beach and watch those fireworks. But even then, 60s, 70s, big Cuban population there. But you said it even became even more so over time. Did you see any Spanish language theater or?
I did see some, but as an attorney, I dealt more with the court system.
Right.
And I worked with the court system. I was what they called a general master there, where I heard cases on behalf of judges, and then they became what they call a magistrate. And I must admit, I probably buried myself in legal matters and legal books and legal research to the extent where I thought I was really good.
Right.
And I was, but only in law.
Did you learn Spanish? Because you must have a lot of clients.
I picked up a lot of Spanish, but usually as a magistrate in the courtroom, I generally had interpreters.
Right.
In fact, I used to joke with people that, and this is very true, I wouldn't start court in the morning unless I had my Spanish interpreter and I had my Creole interpreter.
Creole?
Creole. Haitians.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
There are so many Haitians in Miami now that you really need a Creole interpreter if you're dealing with a courtroom. Where you're going to have witnesses from the area.
Right. So it probably means you picked up some Creole too. That doesn't mean right. Yeah.
It meant I picked up a Creole interpreter. I picked up a little basic, but basic French will get you by with Creole.
Yeah.
In fact, if you have a friend who's basic Italian, they can get you through Spanish pretty well too.
It's true. It's true too. Portuguese is a little bit. It doesn't mean you know every word.
I had this little old grandmother of a friend of a friend who was around when I did my real estate deals, and she used to, even though she was fluent in Italian, she could get me through these real estate deals with the Cuban people with no problem.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I remember there's some fond times for Florida. Like I said, but like I said, if I went back, I probably wouldn't recognize anything. I mean, that's the way it is. You can never go back. You can never go home in that sense. No. Places change.
And that's one of the reasons why, since it's still less than 10 years since I left Florida,
right,
that I would like to go back now rather than go back a few years later than now.
Right.
I go back to University of Florida right now.
Right.
I can recognize my old dorm room.
Wow.
But
yes.
I can't recognize much of the rest of the campus.
Wow.
Murphy area is still pretty much the same, other than the security that they put up there.
Mm.
But after so many years, it just isn't the same to go back anymore.
So you came to Texas. Why Houston? Why Conroe?
That's really a good story, as a matter
really?
of fact.
Yeah.
I was living in Florida, and I had just taken early retirement from the court system in Miami, and I'd moved to Central Florida. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't too impressed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a new member of the family born in the Woodlands.
Okay.
And my sister and her husband from Arizona, and my sister and her husband from Michigan,
Right.
and we all decided to have our own family get-together. And as the excuse of our get-together, we said we are going to greet the new child who was born
Right.
in the Woodlands.
Okay.
And so while we were there, we all decided that since we were all getting close to, I was already retired,
Right.
my sister and her husband in Arizona, and I said that they were all talking about retirement.
Mm-hmm.
We all decided that maybe we should all get together in the Woodlands, in the Conroe area,
Right.
and move there, because my sister's home in Arizona had greatly appreciated in value, to the extent that even though they were almost at retirement age, they couldn't afford their own home to retire, because
Isn't that amazing?
they couldn't afford to make the mortgage payments and pay the taxes and insurance, because the prices had gone up that high.
Right.
I was facing a situation in Florida where I couldn't believe that the property that I bought had gone up in value as much as it had, but it was still unlocked value because it was all in the real estate. And I go,
Right.
now if I sold this and I moved to Texas, I could buy a home and pay cash for it in Texas and put money in the retirement account, which is what I did. And my sister and her husband, they bought a place here, and we all kind of like ended up in the Woodlands, all because this baby was born,
Right.
who we still visit, but it now doesn't really know us from Adam. But
Right.
it was a great excuse,
Right.
and we were very lucky to find this.
Wow. Because this is not the first time I've ever heard that story. The other folks, I mean, there's some actor friends. They used to do things professionally in L.A., and they decided they wanted their son, who had been also acting as well, to have a more normal high school and life. And I think they had a relative in the Woodlands, so they came here and lived, and they've been here ever since, at least about 10 years. They still want to go back to L.A. in the day, but they've started their own businesses, had a wonderful time. Yeah,
This is a great area.
Oh,
I love this area.
Yeah, the opportunities are incredible. Yeah, just in this area, we love it. And for theater, especially community theater, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities. You may have to drive some, but there's plenty of opportunities.
It's just amazing the number of different theaters are around here.
Right.
Just the couple that we have here in Conroe are wonderful.
Yeah. And it's one of those gems, because you know how the Woodlands can be the bubble, and there can't be anything outside the Woodlands that's worth going to see.
Well, unless you go to Conroe, I still won't go to Houston. I mean, forget about going way down there. When I bought a used car in Houston. I went down to pick it up during the daytime.
Right.
It took me 3 hours to get back.
I would believe it. I believe it.
And I'm not going down there again.
Longest commute I ever had was a 4-hour drive from downtown Houston to the Woodlands. Now, admittedly, there was very heavy rains, and I had to drop off a friend in Katy. But because there were such heavy rains, we kept getting blocked. So we had to keep rerouting around these blocks, And I finally made it home. So I can't believe that. It took me 4 hours. There was a time when I was to commute. That would be my commute from here to Dallas.
or, for example, friends call you up and say, "Can you pick me up at the airport?" And you automatically go, Sure. And then they go, "Yeah, we'll be coming in at Harvey." Oh no.
That's a good way. That's a good call. And while I like Southwest's attitude, I'm not going to go down to Harvey to fly out of Southwest anywhere. It's just too far for me. I lament the fact that they left.
One of the things I liked about the Bush Airport, when I was moving here, was the idea that I or my friends could come in at the Bush Airport
Right.
and then come to the Woodlands, and we never would have to go to Houston.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. No, I'm sorry when the Southwest left Intercontinental, because I used to use them. You know,
Right, me too.
And then they went. You know, I said, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to concentrate at Harvey.
Yeah, I was just checking the other day for airplane tickets that maybe instead of driving, which I usually do, to take the airplane.
Yeah.
And the only one that had a ticket that was worth thinking about was Southwest. But I'm not going down to Harvey and leave my automobile down there. No way.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I was a kid, that was it. If it was Hobby, you'd fly into Hobby, and then you go to Astroworld, which of course isn't anymore, and had a grand time. But that's how I knew Houston. But, you know, Intercontinental is much more convenient for where we are. Absolutely. If heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get to the pearly gates?
I guess I should think of something really exciting and different to think. But I just, what took you so long kind of thing. I really don't know too much. I guess if heaven exists, I just hope he recognizes me and says, you know, this is not where I expected you to be.
But you know what? We have a great role for you in Miracle on 34th. Are you interested?
No, I was thinking of the Devil and Damn Yankees.
That
was a role I always wanted to play.
Excellent role.
And I guess as long as we're going to drop names, there's a gentleman who's been in a lot of plays that Michael Hayes.
Michael Hayes, excellent.
Great comedian. I am so jealous of Michael Hayes. He has played every role I wanted to play in so many different plays.
Really?
Marco the Magician in Carnival, and he played the Devil and Damn Yankees.
Wow! Oh, excellent role.
All these different roles he's had. He's just done such a good job, and he's so much fun to be around.
Oh, absolutely. He's a fun guy to be around. And no, I haven't seen him in a long time in a show, but man, he's good. He's good. Anyway, thanks for coming by. We'll have to do it again.
Thank you. I very much enjoyed it.